Yo, what's going on? I'm Cody from Big Beaver Comics.
And I'm Anthony.
Anthony's here. We're doing YouTube videos.
It's always fun.
Yeah, this is interesting. I like doing that. We'll let us know what you think of this slideshow presentation. It's our PowerPoint of grading. We did this already for like new collectors kind of jumping in for why books are worth more than common books. Like, well, there's a lot of common books out there. Books that just fill runs, that are just story arcs that just happened. And, you know, like they just hold kind of a residual value. They don't move a lot.
Yeah,
but then
a few that stand out.
And we covered that, and we did that on a slideshow thing. So, like, we're back. Big Beaver Comics. Go over to Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube. Subscribe, follow along, like this video. You know, come and join us if you're Canadian for the live sales over on Facebook. We have a fucking blast selling comic books. But today we're going to do a little PowerPoint slideshow presentation. You know what it is. We're going to do it on grading and all the little eccentricities that come along with grading. And while we're not CGC, I'm not Matt Nelson, who's the guy who runs CGC. We're not CBCS.
No, we're not.
We're not anything. We are people.
We're just the BBC.
We're the BBC, Big Beaver Comics, all over that, right?
All over that, right?
And we got experience, so we're gonna have a frank discussion about grading, the pros, the cons, all the little things that go into it. And yeah, we're just gonna kick it. So you guys stick with us. If you like this kind of content, let us know, because we're trying to find ways that we can, add some value to the community. So like we sell books, like we said, Facebook, come over there, join us. But the reality of things is there's so many different little parts of this community, and we want to be sure that we're adding value back. And we think this YouTube channel is a great way for us to not be selling anything to you, just yakking with you and trying to have a So if you like these slideshow presentations, let us know some topics you want to hear. What the hell would you like to hear? Because or
tell us how much you hate this.
Right. If this is a drag, if you're already crying, your dick was hard, now it's soft, and you're just sad as fuck. Like, we'll totally understand.
Let us know.
But you gotta let us know, right? Like, okay, so we're gonna talk about grading. This is the overall guide. Like I said, my name is Cody. This is Anthony, and roll with us here. I'm gonna scroll this. So this is the first slide.
Nice.
So how are we? Okay, let's assume that we've got some books that we're ready to get these books potentially graded.
Right. So everybody grab their book right now. Just a
right.
Book.
Look at your book, right? Look at your book. Look at your book. Now there's a lot of different things to look at. Let's say you're the one that's, you're going, hey, okay, I think this book, I got this Secret Wars 8. I love Secret Wars 8 as my example.
It's a great book though.
It's a great book. I'm eating almonds, so you're gonna have to bear with me. So I think of it, I'm like, okay, there's all these different moving parts to a book. It doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot of things going on. So let's break it down into the different areas of the book. First area you're going to notice that takes up the majority of damage. The majority of damage just in day-to-day comic book life. If you're a comic book and you're out there and you're just living your comic life and then something nudges you, if you're going to take damage anyway, it's like you banging your big toe on your bed frame. It's going to happen.
It's
your big flippers are sticking out. Danny, you know your big flippers are sticking. You kick the bed frame, So your spine, because the book, it all attaches there. But the way that it bends over, it makes it so the spine is obviously your first give point, the first spot that's going to give when there's some sort of structural integrity.
Definitely, it's under pressure, right?
Right, when the structural integrity is compromised. I'm spitting almonds on you, dog. I will not eat no more almonds during it. No, so when the structural integrity of the spine is compromised, which is the easiest part because it's folded there, but it's not folded flat. It's folded with a bit of a crest. There's staples in it, so you can get damage there very, very easy. You're going to look for ticks. You're going to look for any kind of pressing. I mean, we're pretty neurotic here. You don't even touch the left side of a book. If you watch Ant take books
not to at all,
off the wall, Ant is pretty good at taking books off the wall, running right to left. You're not really touching that side with the left-hand side. Which a majority, it's a left hand, right? So you're grabbing stuff with your right hand because why? There's so many times where if a book starts to slip, and you even have to put a little pressure
It's
with
gonna
your
be
hand.
on that spine.
It's going to be on, and it's going to take that tick.
Don't want
And that's going to be the first thing that's the easiest to get. The damage you're going to catch is a spine tick, some of which can be pressed out, some of which cannot. So if you're going to look at your book, you're going to see, if you're going to see a spine tick that breaks any type of color, that's going to be a tick that's going to bring down a grade. When we start talking about grading, a grading starts at a 10.0. That's where it starts. These books don't start at a 0 and work their way up to a 10.
No, they start at the tippy top.
We started, a perfect book is the assumption of a book, and then every defect causes that grade to go down. And if you want to look at the grading standards, CGC, CBCS, all of those things get covered, right? So they'll explain to you exactly
They've got a great scale,
what things can accumulate. But you got to realize when you have books that start to have problems, you're going to probably have problems accumulating in multiple areas. So you have to take into account the fact that things are going to be a kind of a multiplier in bringing your grade down. As grades start to drop, they tend to kind of drop a little more exponentially right off the top. But that's regardless. So the spine. You're going to see also a rolling of the spine, especially with books that have been stored without a bag and board. Something can be pressed out a lot of the time, but still an issue that makes the book not look as nice, not as presentable if you don't get it pressed out, which you've got to get all that kind of stuff done before you send stuff for grading. That you're going to want to get that finished. Spine splits on the top, on the bottom of the spine. You're going to see that a lot, especially I've seen it in certain generations of books. I find more so than a constant. So like there's certain eras of Marvel, a couple 6-8 years ago, where there's a lot of books with just a paper quality. You see that spine split on the top part of the spine.
Sometimes it's got that pull that like pulled apart from like another book or another piece of paper at the top.
Right, you still see that little nubbin.
The little lip or whatever.
Right, where books went at the printer, they went through the cutter to separate the book. But at the very, very end of those books separating, the cutter didn't clip that last 2 millimeters. Instead, it pulled apart.
And that could easily tear a corner.
And not only that, but it leaves that unsightly little pull of paper. And luckily, CGC, when it comes to, and I'll use CGC as a reference point because we've dealt with CGC more so. CGC, as they won't consider a lot of those printer errors, especially known printer issues, through different eras, through different qualities of paper, whatever it happens to be, they won't really consider those as the same type of defects as you would consider back when we're talking to a spine that has multiple spine ticks, color breaking spine ticks.
A lot of time.
Which is, even if that was the distributor, even if that was your comic book store and you took perfect care of it, sorry, bro. It's a matter of an accumulation of defects that's going to cost you that grade, right? You're going to see potentially glue and adhesive. That's going to be on older books, but you are going to see it. It's going to be there,
time to time.
Especially the square-bound spines. People try to put a lot of that stuff back together. You're going to see that in resto books. You're going to want to look for glue.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you're going to want to look for.
Right. And that's the last two things here on that list on the spine there. Is the glue and adhesive and the color touch, which is more so obviously in any kind of resto, but that's going to be the inspection you're going to need. You're going to need to do that buying that raw book. You're going to then need to do that again when you're considering sending it to CGC. You don't want to end up with that purple label. Like nobody wants that resto label, right? So like you're going to want to make sure that you're checking that. And there's ways to tell, like, there's some people that are amazing at resto, right? And I'd like to think those people are very transparent, but a lot of people that are trying to, like, scam out there, they're not as good as they'd like to think, and there's ways to tell. So with the glue and adhesive, that's gonna be there. You're gonna notice that probably. The color touch, if you flip the cover, you're gonna see a lot of times black on a white background. It will leak through and you'll be able to see it. And if you can't see it with your actual eyes, you're gonna maybe with a black light be able to pull that out, because you're gonna notice majority of the color touch on older books is gonna come on the cover. It's not gonna be on the paper.
No.
Right? They might do leaf casting or all sorts of things to put paper back there, but that's way down the rabbit hole. But spine, you're gonna want to watch spine rolls, spine splits at the top and bottom, spine ticks, whether that's color breaking or not. And if you're sending a book in to get graded, get pressed, get cleaned by CCS, go over to CGC and get slabbed, you have to know most rolls gonna come out. most non-color breaking spine ticks gonna come out, especially with, if you don't do a quick press, you do a full press. But any kind of spine ticks that break color or spine splits, you shit out of luck. That's just what your book's about.
That's right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're going to make it look a lot better with that press still, but those are still defects that are going to count against the grade of the book.
Yeah, those are never going to go away.
You want to move on to cover?
Let's do it.
What's the cover? So there's, again, a lot of moving parts. It doesn't seem like it. It's just a book. Seems like it should be like really rudimentary, but there's a finish to every book. To every different type of paper, every different type of era, different publisher. Everybody's got a different finish to what that is. Now, that finish can be compromised innumerable amounts of ways, whether that's from weather and not storing it properly, whether it's from rubbing on other things, whether it's from other people trying to clean the book and rubbing too hard, there's a lot of different ways, but a cover, you're going to want to take a look. That's the place where you're going to notice the majority of your staining, because that's the most likely spot where, you're reading the book once in a while, but maybe the book sat on your table.
Where have you found scuffing the most on a book?
Staples.
On the,
right? Front and back cover, because that's the thickest part of the book. Right. And it's rubbing up against the other thickest parts of all the other books, because more times than not, all the books are pretty uniform in your collection. So it's books from the same era a lot of the time, if you've got a thing that's unbagged and boarded. So you've got this collection of uniform books, unbagged and boarded, with the thickest parts being the two staples on every book, and they're just shuffling in there. Just a little vibration.
Every time you're running up the stairs or walking right by it.
Every time it gets moved, or it's in your car or anything like that, and over time and that's on the cover.
And that brings your comic book value significantly down if you're going to get it graded. Right?
It's just some of that stuff I like when you talk, it gives me a chance to eat an almond. It's just some of that stuff that a lot of people are going to overlook. It's all about storing the book properly and doing the inspection properly, especially if you're thinking about slabbing it or reselling it raw and accounting for that book having a certain grade, where you're saying, like, I have a fairly attuned eye, I'm going to say it's this grade. If you're discounting some of these very, very easy to notice things, your customers are going to think you're a joke, and CGC is going to be grading books for you at a loss. Both of those things are going to be happening for you. Scuff, color rub, that kind of stuff. Again, staples, structural integrity of the book. So not only is the cover coming off, but that can also happen with the interior, and we'll talk about that. But like your staples can start to let go because of the book's been open and closed just too many times, right? It's just been read. So your centerfold and your cover are going to be the things where things could be coming apart very easily. Your edges. Now, the edges aren't going to be so much a problem unless they're really dog-eared up or chewed up with mold or, moths or some shit. Like rats. You got fucking rats at your house. You're going to have to do something.
The Ninja Turtles here?
You got way worse problems in comic books if you've got rats at your house, right? Doubt. So the thing I would suggest is, the big thing with edges and trimming is if you've got yourself an older book, Silver Age and back probably, where you're going to get that graded and you've bought it off somebody else, dealer or otherwise. They can tell it's CG. They have all sorts of information stored in their data bank that talks about the way printers cut different pieces of paper in certain places at certain times, and they know on a microscopic level the actual grooves, the way a page should look, the way it came off these printers. And you can get a lot of guys that have done little trimming, shaved 1/8 of an inch off of a book because it had a little overhang. Right. And you can do that and then square things up and make it look really tight. But if CGC sees that on their end, they're going to know the cut and know the difference between the blade you used in 2021 and the way that came off a printer in 1956.
You might just get that purple label.
And you're going to, so you need to be cognizant of who you're buying your stuff from. And you need to be somewhat keen on the fact that if it looks too good to be true, motherfucker, there's probably a chance that it is.
That is,
you know, like, I'd roll the dice sometimes, but, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And when you're getting into Golden Age, Silver Age books, you can encounter this restoration issue, because there was a time and a place, and I believe it or not, there was a time and a place in comics, and I'm not old enough to have lived through this, but a lot of people that did, and I mean, I'm saying it in the comments, in the 60s, 70s especially, before comic shops came around, were like, people fixing books, it wasn't like a bad thing to restore, because like you didn't have it.
No, that's true.
So like people were trying to keep things together, right? Like, and it wasn't until the collector market started to really value the originality of things that it was like a taboo subject. So that practice didn't really go out of practice until like the late 80s, to be honest with you. And there's guys now that do amazing resto work, but resto is kind of represented as resto now. Whereas you might pick up a book that had resto done to it in 1980, that's from 1948, and nobody in the last 30 years knows that resto was done to that book. But CGC will know when they see it. So you need to take a look at all that kind of stuff. The cut and the centering, again, is going to be something, because again, you're going to have books that are very off-centered the way they're cut, just like with hockey cards, and again, or football cards or anything else, where the picture looks, it's off. It's a little angle to the left, bottom left corner or whatever.
That's right. That's definitely from print.
Because there's always, it's bordering, right? There's something that gives these 90-degree angles, which gives your brain some borders to look at and structure. And when things look a little off kilter, it stands out, and it's somewhat unpleasant to the eye. And they don't take it as egregious, because they understand that that's kind of part and parcel with what went on, but still, you have to take that into consideration. And if you notice, edges that look really, really trimmed up or smaller than, again,
picture perfect. Maybe take a little look.
So,
see
the cover, again, stains, the most common place you're going to find stains is going to be on a cover or on the back. That's where we find it, right?
You put stuff down. And
someone fucking tipped the ashtray over back in the 70s, right? Grandma was in the old fucking the rum,
huge,
right? And grandma knocked the ashtray over, and someone put the Amazing Fantasy 15 down, and
grandma put her whiskey on top of
it. Right. And that's the story of that. And color touch, like we said, there's ways to tell, there's ways to get around it. From what I've been told anecdotally, I'm not a professional in anything to do with restoration, but I know a bit about it. But I know that if you're out there dealing in books where you want things to be authentic, you are really rolling the dice with some older books, because it just is what it is, right? Play the game accordingly. But if it's a book that's maybe been in your collection for 50 years or in your grandpa's collection, you're probably in pretty good shape.
That's right.
You probably don't have to worry about that at all. You don't have to worry about nefarious people, or maybe people that meant well and just were trying to restore it and make it look good, and then it got 6 Kevin Bacons removed from them, and then people didn't remember that it was restored. So on the interior, again, you're going to see paper quality. That's a big thing on the CGC label. Off-white to white, all this kind of, right? You want white pages. That's obviously the jam. Paper quality, again, has the paper taken on moisture? Has it had moths at it or any kind of, right? Does the paper have rickets? You want to...
Rickets?
Those are
bad.
That's bad. You don't want paper rickets, right?
Damn.
So like all sorts of shit could go sideways.
You're scaring these people now with
Nah. Don't open your books if you're scared. Just fucking, mind your...
seal.
Don't look at it. Send it to CGC and just pray. Don't
get rid of the rickets.
Right. Press those rickets out. So there's all sorts of things could go on in the inside of the book. You're going to want to flip through every page. You're going to want to do a page count.
You do.
A page count is important. Different eras of comic books had different counts of pages. You're going to want to know the history of the book, of what's going on. If it's a book you're sending in that you're expecting is $1,000, $2,000 book, something like that, that's a book that's, 50, 60, 70 years old. You're going to really want to do your due diligence. So flip through it, take your time.
Billy didn't draw nothing on there.
Right. If you feel like,
cut something out.
Right. We're going to get into that. You're going to feel better maybe if you put on some gloves, some surgical gloves, we'll call them, or your leather drive. Maybe you look good in your leather driving gloves. Maybe you want to put those on.
You wear my leather gloves when I go to the Blue Oyster.
Right. Yeah. It looks very. I like when you do that with your fingers.
I did that.
Right. Very nefarious. It looks like you're about to pet the cat and right.
Dr. Claus.
We must bomb Scotland if they won't pay the ransom. Sorry, Scotland. Sorry about that. Don't take that personally, you Scots.
No. Just metaphor.
Right,
Metaphor
just a joke, Scotland.
Right,
Don't get your fucking skirt all
we
in
don't
a
want Scotland
tilt.
Yard after us.
No, I don't even know if I think that's in England.
I think that
right? I don't even know. So okay, moving right along. You're gonna want to make sure, like I was saying, it's complete. If it's a really old book, you know what? There are people in the world that have been known to Frankenstein books together.
That's true.
They've got a couple good pages of this, and they got a couple good pages of this different copy over here, and they'll put it, and I mean, they try to get away with it, and they'll use staples from that era.
Right.
And
that's nefarious.
Right. But it's sometimes they're just trying to put a piece together, and again, someone dies, and then you find a book in a collection, and someone thinks they got Action Comics #1, and they do in theory.
In theory, they
but
have
what
all
they
the
have
pages,
is
but it's a conglomeration of a bunch of different books.
And I mean, again, is that the end of the world if it was Action Comics #1? Probably not, because you can sell individual pages from that comic for tens of thousands of dollars. So, you know, like that just is what it is. But that you can see that with other books that people would try to get away with, right? Yeah. It's happened. That's why I put it on the list. You want to make sure it's complete, though. Dog ears through every page. You'd be surprised how outside of a book looks great. Inside has 3-4 pages in a row, dog ear or something.
Right, because you forgot I'm going to finish this page tomorrow night when I go to bed or something.
Right, it's just in there, right? Yeah. Rips too, a lot of rips. You'll find on the edges, especially
because they're turning those pages super
something
fast,
like that, right? Like they're all jazzed up. They want to see what Wolverine did, and they gave it the old flick, like they were too cool for
jazzed
school.
Up Mountain Dew,
right?
Jolt back in the day.
That was Blow, right? They were all jazzed up on the Blow.
Imagine this is we're now in like Pablo Escobar territory. He's reading comics back in the 80s.
You don't think Pablo Escobar read comics?
I think he did.
I think Pablo Escobar read comics. Maybe. What's wrong with that?
No.
I think Pablo's.
I don't know. That's what I first thought. I didn't think of little Billy and Susie sitting there reading their Archies or their X-Men doing just visiting the tutoring, right? I went a little bit more adult with it. Where it's like Pablo Escobar, he's rich, he can afford all these books.
Ooh.
So
he was having a good time.
He was.
But he was a little jazzed up, so he ripped the page.
That's
So
right,
you wanted to look for rips. On the edges especially, you see it. Crosswords, games. Right. You said that earlier. Stamps, any kind of cutouts for memberships.
Right.
The Marvel value stamp in Hulk 181, right? The Hulk 181 Marvel value stamp is. Yeah, so like crossword, all that stuff. And they'll have that on the CGC. It'll say...
it'll be written right on top there, yeah.
Writing on the inside. Even if it's a signature, that's not a... Right. It'll say writing on the cover, writing on the inside. Right. The staples, too. You want to check staples. Get centerfold just like the cover. The structural integrity of the book. We go. Yeah. That's the key. We want to make sure that's all good. So that's the inspection. Now you've now looked through your book and you're sure like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, what can I do? What else?
I got a 10. I got jam. Yeah.
I got that 10.0. Right. What can I do? 10.1. Right? I'm rocking their world.
It's my Ford F-150 startup manual.
So let's talk about a few things here we see on the...
You got some cleaning hands.
Right. Well, look at the Punisher picture in the middle. You see a press. See on the left, you can see the reflection of light. It's pooling in the grooves, right? That's kind of how that light reflection is going to work. So you're going to want to look at a book up to a light, give it a few angles. Yeah. You'll catch it.
Oh, if
there's creasing in there. And you're going to want to get it pressed anyway. So there's not really a question about that, but we'll go through. And you can see the improvements that a press can do. You can also see on that Detective Comics book, black light showing a lot of color touch. All over, all the arrows showing all the different color touch under the black. And that,
light at a hotel.
Again, that's very egregious. So that stands out really bad. But you'll see people that are, I mean, I'm not saying you'll see them like you're bound to encounter this. You might be buying just chill books that people aren't tripping on. But if you're out there really in the deep waters buying raw books, it's a potential to come across people who whatever. So just keep your eyes open, and if you're doing
detective kit with you,
right, or just try to be educated and ask questions, or ask us third person for an opinion or whatever, right? Like just stay vigilant. It's a lot of money to lose on a book that you send to CGC and it comes back because you can't blame that last guy because he might actually have not known. There might have been 30 people that owned it between the first guy and you.
Right.
And who knows where the resto happened. It didn't get caught till it went to CGC. But you'd be surprised how many guys would send a book to CGC and it gets a resto grade and you don't know there's resto and they crack it out of there and sell that thing raw like it's authentic. And then it just gets another resto grade.
right.
Because CGC will catch it again.
Yeah, well, just
so then they'll have,
cycle,
then
right?
they'll have the 2 restos in the census because I obviously don't take that first one out.
No,
but it's still, it's a brutal book to just have it.
That is,
you just want to make sure that circulation of those books, stays as limited to your collecting as possible. So what can we do? What's some improvements we can make? Let's say you got a book that doesn't have any of this kind of nonsense. So you can do some cleaning with some heat, take a little adhesive off, right?
Yeah.
You can introduce a little heat, blow dryer. There's a few different ways, a little bit, right?
A little bit at a time.
Again,
don't hold that shit close to it.
No. Like you want to be very, very cautious.
Yeah.
I would say any kind of cleaning you want to do on your own, I would lead in the experience with a period of time and a grouping of books from each different era. If you're going to try to do any kind of heat introduction and removing of adhesive from a sticker or a price tag.
There's probably an informative video that you can actually watch if you get to this point.
Right.
Watch one of these. Watch a few of these before you even attempt.
Right, but you can do $2 books too.
Or test.
That's how I learned how to do all this shit, was just grab your own cheap fucking books.
Right.
Like, don't introduce, when I say heat, don't introduce fire to your book.
Yes,
Don't smoke a bowl and then throw the ash and the fire onto there. And, right. When I say heat, I mean blow dryer. So or a little bit of heat, introduce that heat for a short period of time, and then you might notice that some stuff becomes a little more pliable than it previously was. But you might also notice that the adhesive or whatever you're trying to get up doesn't. And you're going to want to know your limits. But the only way you're going to learn your limits is if you're practicing and you make mistakes and learn.
So don't take your first appearance of Punisher that has a little bit of adhesive on it and use that as your first book.
That type of thing should always be done by professionals.
Always.
So that's not you doing anything.
No.
You're not. I'm not doing it.
No. Oh, no.
And I'm dealing in those books.
That's right. And
we just had that book this month in a 9.0.
Right, yeah, 9.0.
Right, but I didn't touch that book.
No.
Hell no.
Big Daddy CGC put that stamp on there.
CCS is the one that pressed that thing, my friend.
That's right.
So a microfiber is a good way to take oil off a book.
Is that how you strangle somebody when you're hitting?
Whoa,
that's
I don't think that is. I think that's a fishing wire, baby.
Fishing wire, okay.
Right? No, so microfiber. Take oil off the book. Thumbprints. You're gonna notice people got
they're great.
Right, they work, especially on newer books. Newer books got a real glossy finish. Little bit of pressure. It doesn't take a whole lot. Clean a book right up. And these newer books that have this glossy finish, they get thumbprints, fingerprints over them like lots. You get a lot of black, dark covers.
Right. If you got a white cover too, those fingerprints, you just ate a greasy burrito or a burger.
That's a little. That might not come off.
No, that's the free book maybe.
Yeah, you might want to be washing those hands.
Right. Yeah. Watch out for those white covers, definitely.
Yeah, don't be touching that with your dirty ass hands.
No, always wash your hands before you do a cleaning.
You could also be doing any kind of dry cleaning, right? Like, again, getting into a little deeper water. Find yourself some books you feel comfortable touching. Go get yourself a Mr. Clean magic eraser. Go get, there's some different types of putties and clays people use to try to get adhesives off that are actually really non-abrasive. The Mr. Clean, though, you get into those magic erasers and stuff, you're going to be noted. They're like, it's like the most minute sandpaper. Think of like 3,000 grit sandpaper. It barely is coarse, but it's coarse. And when you're talking about just the gloss on the cover of a book, it is so much pressure that you have to learn the feel and learn when to say when. It is so, and I definitely recommend giving it a try on a cheap couple of books with, it doesn't cost much because it's amazing what you can see done to some books. But then there's some books, there's nothing that's going to be able to be done. No. And if you get overzealous, you'll try to correct something that you couldn't correct that way. And you'll be doing worse. Yes. Yeah. So learn before you jump into the ASM 129.
Learn about the paper you're about to clean too.
It's going to be generational things change, right? Exactly. You're going to have to learn about all that, but that comes deep in the racket. If you're not really doing this, if you're just thinking about getting stuff graded, you're going to be sending this stuff off to other people and just questioning like, hey, are you doing this? Are you doing that? How are you doing this? Yeah. And you'll just be knowledge that way, but you won't have to actually get your hands. I don't do any of this. You don't do any of this. No. We just know how it all works. Yeah. Pressing, same thing. You could get a moisture bath, a heated press, get a lot of wrinkles out, all those non-spine color breaking spine ticks.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is going to come out. Moisture bath, if things are really jacked up, you can put things in a bath, bring a little humidity to the book, make the book even more pliable, put it under heat, be able to correct a lot of things. Again, spine rolls, that stuff's going to be able to be fixed. But it's not always perfect. Sometimes you might need to press things multiple times. You'd be surprised if there's like a crumb inside the book, a flake of something, a flake on one of the pieces of the press, that it'll press that right through the book, the smallest imperfection. So you guys got to make sure that you're, diligent before things go to a press as well. But if you're not dealing with the pressing and you're getting CCS to do the pressing, make sure that these books are as hella clean before you
don't go to the beach and read your comic books, then press them.
Bad idea. Beach comic books are a bad... That's where Archie would read his comic books. He's always at the beach.
Volleyball and shit,
so let's talk about some... we'll look at the bottom of the screen here. A couple of things that people use. We talked about the black light. Sloppy color touches is a lot of the stuff that you're going to be able to catch. A jeweler's loop is another thing that you're going to be able to use to spot some subtle inconsistencies. So you're going to see, again, color breaking spine ticks. You're going to notice people trying to color touch those. So if you get a book that's, let's say it's all black and the color touch is minimal on these color breaking spine ticks, you might not be able to see it with a black light because it's so minimal. You might not be able to see it through the cover on the other side because it's so minimal, but the finish of it, you might be able with a jeweler's loop to get so microscopic that you notice distinct differences in the finish of the way things cured on a much more base level than what the human eye can look at.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And CGC, again, on a vintage book that goes across the desk of 3 people apparently, and Matt Nelson as a head grader, you're going to notice that kind of stuff. Someone's going to catch that. Even though we've noticed 9/8 that have got away with some things.
We have, yeah.
I don't know of resto books, personally. I'm sure people have said restos got away with shit. I don't know specifically, but maybe. But me, no personally, but I've seen 9/8 that, probably were more like 9/6 or 9/4.
That's right.
They weren't like 8/0s.
No.
But I've seen, that happens.
It does.
Everybody has a bad day. They're humans just like everybody else.
That's right.
I don't think modern books go across 3 people's desks.
No,
there's no.
I think you're talking about like the creme de la creme, like the chase books that
the Silver Age invoices and stuff,
probably like 10,000 and up, I'm guessing, or something like that.
Again, we talked about some resto stuff, trimming. You can get into acid washing to be changing the color of interior pages. I mean, that's serious business. Color touching, tear and split seals. There's all sorts of ways that you can fix books that have ripped and make them look like they've never ripped. Man, there's leaf casting that will rebuild sections of books that you're so deep now into the weeds of things I have no idea about.
Dude.
Right. Staple replacement. There's you can get caught staple cleaning, but there's people that will pull staples out of books, same era, same printer style, and put them in other books, right? That are trying to. It's not even. Is it really resto though? I don't even know if that's resto. If you take a shitty book from 1962 that was a Marvel book, and you take a Fantastic Four #1 and you switch the staples, I don't think if you've done any damage, if you haven't cleaned those staples, it's staples from the same era.
Well, if you're thinking about like
that's a CGC question. Let me know, CGC. That's get in the comments, CGC. Let a brother know what's going on. So who's doing the grading? Who's doing?
I do all the grading.
You do all.
I do all of it. I'm 3 individual people.
You're 3 individual people.
I have a lot of costumes, a lot of disguises.
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm very, very busy.
Okay, fair enough. So Anthony does all the grading.
That's right.
Damn, I did not know that.
I know.
How are you that available? You're barely even here to work.
I'm actually a hologram.
You're all the graders.
I'm all the graders.
You're doing a really good job.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about what the type of grading, where to go, how we do all this stuff, right? Okay, so where are we going? We've looked through our book. We've done the inspection. They're going to do an inspection on their end.
They are.
They're going to maybe clean it. They're going to do all that. You've had someone clean it, maybe a professional. You've had a professional press it, maybe a third party before it goes there. 'Cause there's a lot of people that use third parties.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people don't use CCS. But let's say you're going where? You're going to CGC. That's what we're going to use.
That's what we're using.
Right. Where to go. You're going to get either a personal membership, this is going to be one of your options. This is what a lot of people have. So you've got comic books worth slabbing. You go get a CGC or CBCS membership online. Then you want to properly fill out all the invoices. Now you're going to need to print these invoices and include these invoices in the shipments too.
Yeah, they like it a particular way.
They like it a particular way. There's a lot of videos on this. Watch it.
They even have their own video on this.
They have multiple, yes.
That's right.
Cleaning and pressing, that's done on their end as well. Get things sent to CCS first, then they'll send it to CGC.
Yeah.
Choose the CCS, the quick press, unless you really think you need a serious press on it.
Right.
If you're sending most things quick press, choose the quick press option in the invoice. Send to CCS, they'll send to CGC. When it's done, CGC send it back to you. Properly package and ship it. A lot of people are really keen on properly like making it so easy for them because they're humans, and I mean,
right.
if
you don't want to make their job more
now, I don't know
right?
if they're so easy to manipulate that me just putting a little tab that makes pulling open the bag a little easier. I don't know if that's going to cause them to give me a 9.8 on an 8.0. Maybe,
but I doubt it.
Got to salt the mind, right?
That's right.
So
right.
If you're getting your books graded, it doesn't hurt to add in a little Valentine. Let them know, like, hey,
I love you. You're looking good.
You're looking skinny. That's what I write. Right. It's looking girthy. Right. Tell them what they want to hear.
I've seen that new pic.
There's no girls working there,
right?
Right. So expect 3 months, maybe turn around roughly. Shit changes all the time. Sometimes seems like 1,000 months. Sometimes it's quick. It's just 3 months is a good rough estimate. Maximize your invoices.
Always maximize.
Don't waste the shipping, right? Especially like we're from Canada. You spend a lot of money on shipping. Don't waste that shit. Get the most out of it.
That's
Get
right.
that invoice filled. Those invoices are easy to understand. They're easy to fill out. If you're getting books that are signatured, authenticated, you're not going to CGC. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, that's kind of, they have to see that in person.
That's totally in person.
Signed, yeah.
They have to. If anybody's dead, you want to see. You got a Stan Lee signature.
Yeah.
Too fucking bad. If it was never authenticated with Stan Lee there, with a CGC person there, and then they took it right from there to get it slabbed and put a label on it, you're shit out of luck.
For CGC.
But CBCS,
right.
If you're getting stuff verified, like an authentication of an autograph, and they're Beckett, I mean, they're a real company. They're legit. They're legit in the trading card game. They're legit stuff. You can trust CBCS. I mean, they don't hold maybe the value at the top end that CGC does or whatever. But I mean, it's negligible.
They're close.
They're close. It's negligible. Like it's still at the very, very top end, the 9/8 of the best books. There's still a 5% margin that leans towards CGC, but that could change in a market space where something could happen.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen, right? So CBCS is going to do your verifications for signatures long after me and Anthony have shit the bed and died.
Right.
All those bras and panties that you guys had us sign for you guys, you're going to be able to get those authenticated through CBCS. Yep. They've got our autographs on file.
That's right. I signed enough things.
Right, yeah. So that's all in there, but you're not going to be able to do that with CGC. Another way you're going to be able to get books done, if you're not somebody who does this all the time, is your local comic book dealer should have the means of submitting your books to either CGC, CBCS. It's going to cost you some money, obviously. Ask around at different comic book shops. You're going to find somebody. You can't hold the dealer accountable for the grades. No. They're middlemaning for you, right? Like they're just holding you down.
Less hands on your books though, the better. So it's kind of good to cut out a middleman and just kind of ship it to CGC or to get it clean and pressed first.
I mean, who would you rather be mad at? You want to be mad at CGC and the mailman, or do you want to be mad at CGC, the mailman, and your LCS?
That's right.
It's one of those. I don't know. Personally, it's easy enough to send it out. It's easy enough to have I would just say get it done yourself. How you've shipped. You'll have so many questions. If you didn't watch how someone packaged things, you'll just have so many questions. If you know what you did, you'll at least have a bit more peace of mind.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
So CGC Signature Series, we'll talk about that for a second. If you're looking to get a book encapsulated, it's CGC. If you're looking to get that certified, autographed, they have to be there to witness it. They have to have a CGC representative right there that certifies that encapsulation took place in that place on that date by these people, and that's the signatures. You're going to see that with this yellow label here with this Return of Wolverine. That's the only way you're going to see this happen. So, like, right now in 2021, you're fucking...
No Stan Lees are ever going to be certified again from CGC.
Right. They're having some private signings, right? Like, that's out there. They're doing some private signings with people that are signing books and stuff. CGC brings in artists that do all that kind of stuff, or writers that do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, they have to have somebody there to witness. They don't need you there. They need the witness and the artist or author that's there. That's right. All right. So it's a little more particular for that. They kind of hedged out a niche in the marketplace that caused them to be needed a little bit more. By them having to like be there. Be there. But that's the way it is, and a lot of people play ball with it. And we'll see if CBCS authenticating autographs in the next 10 years as their census gets a lot more full, and we'll see if the balance changes. But for right now, CGC.
Now I wonder. This is just a hypothetical question. I wonder if Rob Liefeld, listed as signed New Mutants '98 and sent it to CGC, will be like, yeah, I can't give it to you. You never saw that? I wonder if that would be true.
I don't know.
It'd be like, I know, I'm Rob Liefeld. I signed my own book. I'd be like, well, we didn't have it authenticated.
Yeah, they probably would, right?
Right.
They don't care.
You think they would, right?
They would, right?
Damn, that's cold.
That's cold.
They're
ice cold.
CGC, damn.
They're playing by their rules, right? So these two guys, this is obviously the two guys we're talking about. You got CGC on the left, you got CBCS on the right. Signatures at CGC must be witnessed. They're obviously the industry leader, like we were talking about. They have fair prices. It's fine dealing with them. They have good turnaround time. If you need to get things reslabbed, if they change labels, they'll work with you on that kind of stuff as well. They have the highest retention value on the marketplace. That's definitely a fact.
100% they do. That is.
As of right now, that's the way it is, right?
As of 2021, as the video's out,
A 9.8. But again, there becomes, especially with a lot of books that are common in the marketplace, that there's still thousands of out there. There is diminishing returns in grades, big time. A 9.8, whether it's CGC or CBCS or whoever, you're going to notice that grade come down exponentially in price. As the grade starts to fall, sometimes from a 9.8 to a 9.6, you're going to see a fall of 50% in the value of a book.
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge hit.
Regardless of who you're buying from, and regardless of who you've heard is the more strict grader or whatever, everybody's got their own preference. I would say, if you're buying graded books already and you're not getting things graded yourself, then I would aim for the highest grade at the best price.
Me too.
Yeah. But I would say, raw grading yourself. Pick the grading company that you like.
Right. This would be your preference, right? Don't listen to us what we like to get graded. Whatever you feel comfortable with, right?
Right, or the marketplace. If you're a business, it's different. Like, if you're a business, it's different. You're going to have more luck, more liquidity involved in CGC slabs than you will in CBCS, because there's people that aren't even knowledgeable to what CBCS is, that are just laymen. They come into a comic store once a year, but they might drop some dough all the time, but they've been collecting maybe their whole lives, but they're not like paying attention to the pulse of the market. They might not know what but the CGC label has been around since the early 2000s, since 2000, it's been around. So CBCS, CGC, basically the exact same thing, save for slight market value edge to CGC, and save for the slight leniency with CBCS in regards to the signature policy.
That's right. If you got stacks of like Stan Lee comic books, maybe go to not CGC but the other guy.
So there's all types of grading. I mean, we don't need to cover more than people would already know, but cards, video games.
That's right.
Video games. You cover everything. It's all in the different types of grading. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of grading, right? What are some of the pros? You've got a book graded. What is this graded book doing for you? Well, you're getting a lot of market prestige. The book stands out. It holds value.
Get that street cred.
It's some dick swinging shit, right? Like, it's definitely the upper echelon. Like, we've had a lot of customers, some from our giveaways, that have gotten their first slabs, and it's a deal. To them, it feels like in their comic book game, they leveled up. And that's a big deal to a lot of people.
Everybody loves that feeling of leveling up, right?
Right. And that it's nice to be able to facilitate that, but that slab definitely adds that to the game for you. And it adds that especially to a real high-end key, and especially at a 9.8. Market prestige. You can't beat it. And that over and above, no matter how much people love raw books, no matter the fact that you can open it, the smell of it, it doesn't matter. The market prestige of a graded book is A1.
Right, A1, definitely. Yeah.
And then right below that, the 1B of it all is the top end market value. You are retaining the best market value, and you will be receiving the best market value, especially if you're in no rush.
Right, yeah.
It's just the way it is because it's been certified. You know that a professional, air quotes, daddy came in and said, hey, whose book is this? And when daddy says...
Right, yeah. It says in that Barry White voice.
Right. He
Every
said...
time, 9.8.
That thing's a 9.8.
That's right.
Oh,
Sealed.
Yeah.
Boom. Put that voice in there.
Sold.
Right?
Right? You've got the security and the preservation. You've obviously got the guarantee of authenticity, so you know that things haven't been done to the book. There's no restoration. It's complete. It's all that kind of stuff. You, again, much like the market prestige, you have the status and the exclusivity of the book. You know, like a lot of people don't have a 9.8 in this. Maybe people own that book. Maybe there's a few people you know that have that in a 4 or a 5. Like, it's a hot book. A lot of people have it, you know, like, but as far as
but it ain't damn near perfect.
But you don't but they don't have the second or third highest one on the entire CGC census like you do, which adds an exclusivity to things.
Oh, definitely.
That's where it's like, oh, yours is 8, well, mine's 8.5.
Yeah, you're in a different echelon.
Right. It's just, it adds some stuff.
Girthier.
And it's easier to insure, right? Yeah. If you go to an insurance company and you're trying to insure a collection, it is a lot easier to insure a book that's a lot easier to track down on the open market.
That's right, because it has a serial number.
Whether it's, and not only that, but like whether it's Heritage Auctions or eBay, you can find some comparables of, say, and because you're going to have, like you said, paperwork on that book, as opposed to a lot of your raw books, you're not going to have any paperwork on that. So you're going to have paperwork. You're going to be able to produce that paperwork, show comparables, and be able to recoup maybe a little closer to the market value of what you lost, have in case anything happens.
Right.
Fire, water,
ninja.
You got ninja insurance.
You have to get that.
Because like you being a ninja fight.
They're coming back, bro.
They're coming back? Did they ever leave? I didn't know they left.
Oh, damn.
There could be Tyrannosaurus Rex attacks. There's,
Godzilla's,
flamethrowers. People have flamethrowers everywhere nowadays.
They're walking. Neighbor just got a flamethrower.
My dog has a flamethrower.
I know he's dangerous.
He's a dangerous dog.
And he's a Chihuahua.
That's what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of positives to getting a book graded. Now let's talk about what some of those cons might be.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's some cons.
There's always pros and cons, right?
There's going to be cons. Like, there's some people just like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Right? Old dirty bastard liked it raw. It's like some people just like it raw. It feels better raw. You can take it out, you can read it, you can touch it, you can smell it.
Right.
It's raw. It's you can touch it. It's tactile. It's a thing, right? And I understand it from a lot of. It feels like it's been entombed. When it's in a slab.
Right.
It loses some of its humanity, if that makes sense. Even though it's not alive, it loses some of its, But it does all sorts of other things.
Right, because it's a comic book, not just a slab.
Which is probably the same as not seeing a Monet just on the wall in a French farmhouse, which is probably what it was intended to. Right. You see it behind a velvet rope in the Louvre. It's just, it's way behind glass. And it probably is beautiful, but it probably also feels very distant. And that is something get from a book in a slab. It does feel beautiful for display. A little bit of, there's distance there.
There is.
Yeah.
There is.
The cost. It costs money.
It definitely
does. Right? There's random grading results. You don't fucking know.
No, it is a little bit of a gamble, but if you're a little bit of a stickler, if you're really hard on your grading, then you won't be disappointed most of the time, I think, because if you're hard on your grade, you might actually have an 8, you think, but you might get like a 9.4 or something.
True.
So it's better to have no expectations when you're grading. I'd rather be grade hard, but have no expectations.
Your own grade hard. No, I would definitely agree with that. And you don't have a lot of control. You could do pre-screening.
Yeah,
right?
You could.
You can set your pre-screening at 9.8. So everything that's not a 9.8, they'll just send it back in the bag and board. Charge, I think, $5 to pre-screen it or whatever. And you'll know, like, hey, it's nice, but it's not a 9.8. And you'll just get only 9.8. So you can do that. I don't know. It is what it is. I mean, you're gonna get some random grades.
You're gonna
miss some stuff. They're gonna miss some stuff, and sometimes y'all are all gonna be spot on. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. There's vastly diminishing returns as the grades decrease, especially in books that are a little more common.
Yeah, that's true.
9.8 is what you're shooting for. If you end up finding yourself pulling a book that's a 9.4 that you thought was a 9.8, that's a book that's fairly modern, that wasn't a 1 in 50 incentive covers, you are going to notice exponential decrease in price, in value. You might even realize that the cost of the book and the cost of the grading and the shipping, you actually end up losing money in the deal.
Yeah.
So that can end up happening quite a bit. That's it. That's comic book grading in a nutshell, dog. I don't have anything else I can really tell you. I can tell you I'm Cody from Big Beaver Comics.
And I can tell you I'm Anthony.
And you should go to Facebook and you should follow us along there and do a bunch of live sales with us Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You should pick the grading company that works best for you, whatever you think is easiest for you, the label you like the best. I mean, that's really what it almost comes down to. The feel of the slab.
Right, it's Nikes or Adidas type of thing.
Both slabs are a little different, designed a little different, but I mean, none of it's the end of the world.
No.
I would say just find whatever's your jam and go with that. But if you're going to go through the grading process, CCS, definitely. Things need to go and get cleaned and pressed, even if they're new. That just needs to happen. Do your due diligence.
I always give 9.8s on signature series, so if you guys want to send me your signature books,
right.
I will give you
Anthony's doing
all the time.
Anthony's doing he's doing the mushroom stamp signature series. Yeah, absolutely. That's being done. That's going to be a limited time only.
Dory, your books are getting those looked over right now.
That's at the Big Beaver Comics OnlyFans page.
Right.
You got to talk to Anthony about that specifically. That's about it. I would suggest, clean and press things.
Yep.
Do your invoicing properly. Make sure you print the invoice off. Watch tutorials. If you're going to do some cleaning, if you're going to start learning how to do a lot of that stuff, if you want to attempt it, there's many, many tutorial videos out there. Just do your work on that kind of stuff and start with very cheap books. And if not, there's a lot of professionals out there that know what they're doing. That's about it, man.
That's about it, yeah.
Right? So, fuck you guys.